Well, howdy, race fans. Next race up on the circuit is the Sylvania Busch Light Series here at Chicagoland. And it's going to be the Sweet Baby Rays 300 here at Chicagoland. Starting on the front row, we've got Al Bunch alongside Clarence Bonner. And then behind them, they have the 10 of Jordan Walker and the 00 of Nathan Morgan. Then we've got John Brinker and Matthew Fastnot, Adam Starr and Joshua Harrison, Braden Hunt and Kat Durham, Zach Armstrong and Justin Patrick, Gavin Legend and Lynn Farrell, Kellen Oakley and James Fireball Robert. Also would like to mention here that we've got a new full-time contender here in the Sylvania Busch Light Series. Andrew Moger steps in for Mike Bliss Jr., who has left the series. And the 81 truck as well is going to become an open seat in the trucks. So now we got Andrew Moger filling in for the absent driver and moving up in his ranks through the NSSR series of racing here. Starting beside him is Trevor Walker. Then we've got Jack Davis and Craig Bush, Tommy Cording and Brian DeBlank. I would like to mention here too that Brian DeBlank is going to be running mostly the rest of the season, a little bit more on his schedule than anticipated. Due to the absence of Atlee Weiss in the series, we have a new opening, which will give us a few more drivers with more opportunities in this part-time situation. Then we've got Bella Fawn and Riley Sorrell Tracy, Nadak Hagum and James King, Daniel Paulus Jr. and Luis Rodriguez, Santi Messi and Logan Nagy. Then we've got Lucas Holmes and Adam Gerber-Forian, Fred Jones and Tayden Berggren. At the very back of the field, we've got Ethan Creech and Tyler Landa. Al Bunch is just coming off of a win in the Truck Series the other night. Perhaps he's going to try to go back-to-back in races that have been run. He just won at Verland Ring with a kind of a last lap pass on John Brinker last segment of the race. Brinker definitely led the most laps at the end there, but Al Bunch stole it away. So perhaps we'll see a little bit of back and forth between Brinker and Bunch. As you can see, Brinker's only a couple spots behind him there. Chicagoland always excites, and great finishes have come here. It's been a staple with our series since 2010 with my Sylvania Cup Series coming here every year. And although NASCAR doesn't come to this track anymore, I love keeping it on the schedule. Green flag waves. Al Bunch off to an early jump there. .300 miles here, we're definitely going to see the full force of green flag pit stops, or, you know, if we get cautions, there's definitely going to be pit stops in this race. So Al Bunch cruising out there in the lead here on lap 1. Some of you may have seen recently the 00 is in hot water for other things. Primary team owner, well, not team owner of this car per se, but Jack Ross, who's been tied to the 00 and anything related to Hooters, has been thrown in jail, thrown in prison more so, from his antics on and off the track. Tomorrow, the Cup race, we're definitely going to have a new face filling into the Cup Series, so that's going to be interesting. Nathan Morgan here could potentially find his way up into the 00 in the Cup Series. No guarantee on that yet, but we will, once news comes available, relay it to the rest of you. This seems to have been a recurring theme this year in our Sylvania Busch Light series. Al Bunch just seems to dominate the show here. He actually ended up losing the points lead, though, as he's had a couple bad races. So he's definitely the epitome of checkers or wreckers, which is a unique situation that he's got himself into. He had a pretty rough season last year, and they finally started to figure things out, although they did have mechanical woes on the car last year as well. Came around at the end of the year on fire, unlike any driver in the Busch Series, winning his last 4 races in a row in 2022. And this year it looked like he was off to a good start, leading a lot of laps, but he ended up coming short at Fontana, finishing 3rd in the season opener. And he did win the very next race to follow, and it's been up and down. Whether he blows up or gets in a wreck, he's only won 1 race so far this year, and he's led a crap ton of laps at the front of the field. Seems that his lead is shrinking a bit here, as his teammate Nathan Morgan closing in, getting past the 2nd place driver there of Clarence Bonner. We even got Jordan Walker sneaking into the mix here. There is a good chance, though, tomorrow that you might see Nathan Morgan here carry it up into the 00 in Cup Series to fill in for the absent Jack Ross. Jack Ross also formed his own truck team prior to his whole escapade getting thrown in the clink. And so now there's going to be Jack Ross associated trucks starting in the next couple weeks when we get back to racing in the truck series. Al Bunch is holding on strong for now, but Nathan Morgan's going to turn this into a race. Our Busch Series has been very caution-free all year. We've seen very few wrecks, very few cautions to slow the paces of these races. And today's looking to set up just like any other, as we've already run 11 laps here without a caution. Do a quick go through the field from the back. Looks like Riley Sorrell Tracy is settled into last place for the time being. Ethan Creech, Tyler Landa, and then Tayden Berggren, Luis Rodriguez, James King, Fred Jones, Logan Nagy, Adam Gerber-Forian, Santi Messi, Daniel Paulus. Nadaka Gum definitely surprised us this year with getting a win at Daytona. And that's going to let him ride a long ways here for a potential playoff bid. Getting that win locks him in. We'll see how he fares come playoff time this winter. Bella Fawn, Lucas Holmes, Trevor Walker, Tom Cording, Brian DeBlanc, Jack Davis, Craig Busch, James Fireball Robert. And here we got Andrew Moger in the 64 running mid-pack right now. Fighting alongside Lynn Farrell, Kellen Oakley, Justin Patrick, and Gavin Legend. Cat Durham. Braden Hunt was a points leader for 1 week here in the series after his win at Kentucky. So perhaps he's got something figured out on these 1.5-mile tracks. He's already up to 10th here. We'll have to see how pit strategies and all that shake him up. Good run so far for Braden Hunt. Zach Armstrong continues to be one of the bigger surprises here in the series. From having a rough truck series in 2022, earning his spot here with a lot of movement from all the Busch drivers and truck drivers going to Cup. Zach Armstrong earned himself a chance to fight here in the Busch Series, and he's proven that he belongs. Getting good top 10, top 15 finishes will eventually lead to top 5s and wins for the guy. Matthew Fastnot running in 8th. Josh Harrison in 7th. And you got Adam Starr in 6th. John Brinker, Clarence Bonner, Jordan Walker, and did we get a lead change? Nope, not yet. As Al Bunch continues to lead over Nathan Morgan here. Believe it or not, running 1 and 2 in the points, it's Al Bunch with the lead and Nathan Morgan in 2nd. So it's crazy how that tends to work out. They're running 1-2 here again. And that's only going to continue to keep them set 1 and 2 in the points. Lucas Holmes is 3rd, Trevor Walker 4th, and John Brinker solidly in the top 5 in points there, 5th. And we got a fight for the lead as Nathan Morgan peeks on the inside of Al Bunch. Ooh, and Al Bunch puts pedal to the floor a little quicker there and gets around the outside. Nathan Morgan bobbled a little bit. Perhaps that was just a test to see. Nathan Morgan's not going to show his hand quite yet. But he knows for a fact that he's got a fast car that can compete against Al Bunch here today. Fastest lap has been turned by the 18 of, I believe that's Harrison. Yes, the 18 of Josh Harrison. I don't get to see the same ticker. All you guys see it there, and it says Jay Harrison. Crazy enough that our leader's not turned the fastest lap. Closest in the top of the top 2 is Nathan Morgan up to 3rd fastest. Then you got Lynn Farrell 2nd fastest. Andrew Moger in his first ever Busch attempt, 4th fastest lap. So a little bit interesting scenarios going on here where the fastest car is not necessarily leading. And I do believe that's why Chicagoland here tends to provide us with great racing in NR 2003. The wear and tear on the track too allows for great disparity once these tires wear down. and makes for some interesting scenarios there too, with all the wear. Cars coming at different paces and others dropping backwards. Nathan Morgan here still hanging in really tightly there behind Al Bunch. Next Cup race, Al Bunch will be part of the lineup as the Cup guys are going to head to Chicagoland as well. Should have known that. These guys will be going at it for the Chicago Times 460. Total of 307 laps here at Chicagoland. Perhaps Al Bunch is just getting some pointers and experience here that he can take with him to the next race in Cup. And then after Chicagoland, our guys go to St. Pete. This is in line with the actual real-life IndyCar drivers who are going to be racing at St. Pete this Sunday. It's going to be fun because we've got our triple header of motorsports, IndyCar, Formula One, and NASCAR all going on this weekend. So that's motorsports heaven right there for me. But at the same time, we still got racing here on my YouTube channel for the week. We'll try to get the Cup race in. There may be a bit of a delay on that one, but hopefully tomorrow or maybe the day after. So stay tuned. Chicago Times 460 will be run here in the next couple days. It just depends on whether we can get to it sooner than later. The way things are going right now, we're definitely probably going to approach green flag pit stops here. Still running solid green laps here for 30 laps in. With the size of our truck series right now, things are going to start spreading out a little bit. We do have a ARCA series in the works. That'll be basically most of our truck drivers that are trying to race their way in through the sprint qualifier each week will get first dibs at a seat in this ARCA series. We're still trying to work out the details, but it's going to be kind of a short track series, perhaps, maybe with a little bit more of the speedways worked in. Not as much of the super speedways, but we're going to have plenty of drivers in the truck series that would love to at least have a mandatory start each week, as right now some of them are failing to make the field for the trucks. The ARCA series would be the solution to get them in a race each week so that they're not having to tune in next week hoping for their chance to make the main event. If all works well, we should see it probably the first of, maybe the first. We'll see, because it's still going to require a lot of paint jobs and working and getting teams established. And anyone that's in the truck series with a team will give dibs. It'll probably be first come, first serve, but no earnings are gonna go into making the teams for this ARCA series. This will be our feeder series. If you have a team, you are eligible to field a vehicle. Now, if you want additional vehicles, that'll cost, but your initial will allow as many teams at first to get into the ARCA series and go from there. So we're on circuit number 38 here, Chicagoland. Still no cautions, and our two leaders have driven away from the rest of the field. Al Bunch has led every lap so far with Nathan Morgan in tow there. Looks like Al Bunch is stretching it out a little bit. Gives him a little bit of a cushion. Hold that lead. roughly about a quarter of the way through the race, and Al Bunch is snoozing this one up. I know that these Busch races tend to be a snooze fest, but I keep trying to drive home the fact that these are the best of the best that have not yet made it to Cup, and therefore with that comes a lot of professional, a lot of chess, matches here, because these guys, they may not wreck very often, they may not make mistakes, but it does come down to these cars get run a little bit harder, and we do see mechanical failures due to that, because they're putting in 120% of their effort to try and get the wins here that'll move them up into Cup. If you're new to the series and you're tuning in to watch this, it's definitely a ladder system that we've got here in the NASCAR series of offline racing. If the truck driver wins the championship, they'll get moved up into Busch here. And any driver that wins the championship in Busch will automatically get graduated up to Cup. And with this in mind, obviously, once you make it to Cup, you're not 100% locked in there. You got to perform and show that you deserve to be there in that Cup ride. If you have a bad start to the season, you could be in jeopardy of being the one getting knocked out when a Cup driver, or correction, a Busch driver wins the championship, and they could end up taking your ride away. So with the trucks in Busch, we do have 2 seasons a year. We've got the winter stretch and the summer stretch. Currently, we're in the winter stretch, of course, and with that, it kind of gives us an opportunity to see 2 champions every year with the trucks and with Busch, which makes it exciting. We kind of get to reset it during the summer once everyone, summertime's kind of the hype time of the year. Everyone's getting ready to go out and do a lot of fun stuff now that the winter's gone and good weather, all the fun stuff to be done. Hoping to harness that once we switch over to the summer circuit, and perhaps we'll get some great finishes and new champions on the horizon. The Cup Series was established back in 2010. The inaugural season in 2010 was very sprint style races, and I actually was in the car racing against the AI. So you could almost throw that 2010 season out the window in the stat books for the most part, but we still count it because the spirit of the series started right there in 2010. A lot of the crown jewel events and special races, the namesakes, have stuck since 2010. One of our great, I guess, like the Daytona 500 for the NASCAR Sylvania Cup Series is the 777 annual at Las Vegas, and believe it or not, has evolved to now being a 777 kilometer in length race. Once tried it at 777 miles and didn't realize that NR 2003 had a lap cap where you could only go to lap 512 and then it would stop counting. Obviously, it's a nice square number in computer terms, 512, 1024, 4096. It keeps going in line. So 512 was where they stopped counting laps in NASCAR Racing 2003. Quite a interesting tidbit if you didn't know about that. What happens once you get past that, because you can set the tracks up to run more than 512 laps, but the game stops counting after 512. So once they hit lap 512, they just keep making laps around the circuit, most likely until everyone blows up or wrecks out. And you can never get those last, if you had 513, you can never get that final lap finished, just with the design of the game's structure. learned the mistake the hard way that time and switched it over, and then started to figure out it's like, hey, I could do 777 kilometers. That keeps it at about 307 laps in length. And there the 777 grew to be a very important race in our series because I had evolved it to what it is today. And a lot of winners in that race have been champions in the series. So anyone and everyone that's wants to win a race, that's definitely the race to win in the Sylvania Cup Series. Of course, there's been many new races, and what I try to focus on with the Cup Series is spreading it out amongst all the different track types. So, for example, last couple years, I've stretched it out to 11 road course, 11 short track, 11 super speedway, and 11 intermediate tracks to build the schedule. It's no different this year, even though we're up to 48. Instead of 11, we have 12 of each track type on the schedule. And with that, we've got our first round of green flag pit stops here on lap 61. This should put us to roughly lap 180 would be our last pit stop. If you go 60, 120, and then 180, that means we would likely get a 20-lap shootout to determine the winner. Still, no cautions have happened yet. Everyone's been racing so clean and precise, calculated without error. It looks like mostly everyone's pitted. I don't know if the 27 there is pitted yet. Nope, these guys have pitted, so the rest of the drivers rejoin the field, and it looks like Nathan Morgan had a faster pit stop that shot himself by Al Bunch. So Al Bunch gets bumped back to second. Nathan Morgan would be the tentative leader, as our first and second place must not have pitted yet. We're at on track is they're coming down pit road, coming off pit road now. There we go, and it recycles back to Nathan Morgan in the lead over Al Bunch now. So the initial 60-lap stretch, Al Bunch led all 60. Going forward now, Nathan Morgan with the lead. And see, even though some of these races tend to be a snoozer, you always have strategy on the table, and strategy tends to make for surprise winners, and it's a different aspect to look at a race, because it's a team sport after all, and it really puts the efforts of the pit crew and all the others on watch as you get to see the difference between pit crews and how that plays out. Al Bunch right there, second, just right on the rear bumper of Nathan Morgan. So this will be a good old-fashioned battle between these two. Al Bunch now making a move on the inside. Nathan Morgan fighting back on the outside. Going to keep the lead for now. And we got a fight for the lead again. Al Bunch might be able to make it stick this time. And it's going to be Al Bunch back to the lead and Nathan Morgan falling back to second. Our next closest contender is all the way back. Third place, Jordan Walker. He is 3.5 seconds back of the lead. So the two up front definitely on a planet of their own right now. But at least it looks like we might have a back and forth battle here with Al Bunch and Nathan Morgan. These two don't want to give up any more points to each other, running first and second in the points. Based on how everything's going so far, I would almost think the best bet would be putting Nathan Morgan in the 00 Ford Mustang in the Sylvania Cup Series. Jack Ross had a win just recently. His last race, he won it at North Wilkesboro. And that win sent him into a tizzy, causing him to do a lot of stuff that threw him in prison. So ultimately, Nathan Morgan would be still in the hunt, but his points would be tallied back to 0. Jack Ross's points tally would be tied to his name, and we would, wait and see if Jack Ross can make it back. The way the Cup Series works is once you get to the chase, basically the playoffs of the Cup Series. It's not a playoffs. It's more of a bonus, I guess you could say, at the end of the year. The bonus segment. Everything, all the last 14 or so races are double points. So realistically, going into that bonus segment at the end of the year, you could still have almost everyone mathematically involved in the championship battle. The only thing is, a lot of the drivers that did good during the regular season stint will have accumulated a bunch of points and have a better bargaining chip in the bonus round. Those that roll into the bonus round at the end of the year in the top 5 in points will obviously be able to maintain a better standing compared to those that are going to be fighting off their back deeper in the 30s and 40s of the points. With double points, they would basically need everyone in the top 25 to fail to finish every race for all those double point standings. And it really makes it interesting because you might see someone come from behind. You might get a guy that's 30th in the points in the regular season and then gets hot, goes on a tear with all the double point races, and climbs his way back up to a podium finish on the season. Something you don't see with the current playoff system in NASCAR. And I want to avoid having a knockout playoff style in the Cup Series at all costs. Doesn't stop me from doing it here in Busch and in the Truck Series because it adds a little bit of excitement to the season there. But Cup, I put higher standards on the championship, and therefore your championship is determined by a full season of racing, and you even get double points races to help either pad your lead, because it's a double-edged sword. You could be first in the points and then win all 14 of those races and tie up the race with 5 races to go, tie up the championship. Or, like I was saying, you could have someone come from 30th with a little bit of luck and whatnot, that the other drivers have a bad race, could climb their way up to a finish that they didn't expect was possible at the start of the year. Ooh, we finally have a caution. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a tough break for Zach Armstrong. who is doing so well, is given credit for his turnaround from the Truck Series that he had last year. We'll have to see exactly how this came. Looks like he had a mechanical failure and it just wound up collecting a few more drivers. Oh, the 24 of Ethan Creech had nowhere to go. And there we've got our first caution here at Chicagoland. See what his mechanical failure was. Had a tire going down on the 68 car, so that might put an end to the day for Zach Armstrong, unfortunately. It's going to make things interesting as we have our pit stops and see just who shakes out in the lead. And we do have green-white checkers implemented. I wonder if Riley Sorrell Tracy's a lap down. Yeah, Riley Sorrell Tracy is a lap down. Nathan Morgan back out with the lead. Looks like Al Bunch in second. Or perhaps John Brinker in second. And this will definitely make things interesting once we get a restart. Yep, Al Bunch second. They're going to end up starting double file. Nathan Morgan on the lead. Al Bunch in second. John Brinker third. Adam Starr fourth. And Josh Harrison in fifth. Impressive jump through the standings there by Brian DeBlanc, all the way up to sixth on his pit stop there. Shows that he was credited in 21st prior to that, so huge gain for him. Must have took 2 tires. We've got a restart here at Chicagoland. Nathan Morgan on the inside, Al Bunch on the outside, with John Brinker and Adam Starr behind them. It's also going to be interesting to see what Brian DeBlanc can do there in the Audi. Whoa, big jump from Al Bunch as he blows by Nathan Morgan on the outside there. That start was completely legal and no penalties going to be handed out. Al Bunch was within rule to make that start as he did. Seemed a bit excessive, but the race stewards looked at it, or the race officials, and everything checked out. So we continue on, green, green. No pass-through penalties for anyone. Here we got a pass for the lead. Nathan Morgan going on the inside. These two running side by side is going to allow John Brinker to help catch him up. As you can see, Brinker in tow of that draft, closing in on the two of them. And now we've got a three-car fight for the lead here. Ooh, Brinker had to let out of the throttle pretty heavy there as Morgan settles back into the lead. Al Bunch to second. And John Brinker's under attack by Josh Harrison there. These two at the front definitely are not done. They have not settled what they're trying to settle here. It's going to be interesting the way that caution fell where everyone pitted around lap 80. These guys can go 60 more laps, and that'll put them to lap 140. And with another green flag run after that, they might basically be pushing it on fuel mileage here. It's going to be close. We'll have to see when these guys are able to make their next round of pit stops, if we stay green the whole time, that is. Given the situation, I would imagine that they're going to get to about 139 to 141, and we're going to see them back down pit road. Fight for the lead still as intense as ever. Now that Al Bunch tried to lose a little bit of ground, Brinker still within range of striking for the lead. Al Bunch back in the lead. Might have missed that, sorry. But Nathan Morgan making a pass here. Going to be a very spirited battle all the way to the finish here. Nice thing about this long green flag run, we still have 5 cars pretty close to the front of the field here. As Al Bunch fights with Nathan Morgan, John Brinker ever so slightly in the picture. Joshua Harrison and Adam Starr not too far out of it as well. Seems like the car to beat here today is none other than Al Bunch, who has been making a name for himself here in the Busch Light Series. That number 8 car, a lot of people are probably getting tired of seeing him at the front. It's a lot like Jimmy Johnson of the old days, where be up front, lead, win races, and it drove people crazy. I guess you could even kind of put Jeff Gordon in the same bubble there. A lot of the drivers that people either loved them or you hated them because they were always winning all the time. Kyle Busch as well, drivers that just have that success factor, and people might be rooting for another driver and it doesn't give their driver a chance to win because some of these guys are just way too dominant. Al Bunch might very well be that guy in the series. And with this, talented run that he's had going, dating all the way back to the end of 2022, they definitely have done their homework and have the best equipment through and through here in the Busch Series. But of course, there's always, that fine line. You don't push it too hard. We've seen mechanical failures from him this year, and riding that fine line, you just got to figure out, once they blow something up, they know to tweak something back, and it's growing. They're growing and learning. And just like tonight, having a good run here, leading a whole bunch of laps. This is all good experience and record keeping for that team going forward. We're down to 90 laps to go now. Likely about 30 laps from the fuel window opening up for the final pit stops. And it's probably going to come down to pit strategy here. And the nice part is we still have 5 cars running pretty strong here. All it takes is one of these drivers to have a great pit stop, and it'll shuffle them out in the front. Slowly closing on 80 laps to go here. And our top three have kind of started to stretch it out as Al Bunch, Nathan Morgan, and John Brinker have separated themselves from 4th and 5th place. Josh Harrison and Adam Starr a little bit smaller in the background there. Al Bunch continuing to grow his cushion on the two of these drivers as John Brinker might be able to capitalize on Nathan Morgan struggling here late in the run. This perhaps is the wear and tear on those tires that I was talking about earlier. As you can see, John Brinker has saved up a little bit more tread on those tires, and Nathan Morgan has definitely used his stuff up. Brinker and Morgan side by side. Brinker fighting hard. Morgan also fighting hard on the outside. Settles back to the inside. Brinker losing a little bit of momentum there. And both of these guys losing significant ground to the lead. And as soon as I say that, Morgan is on a run trying to catch up to Al Bunch again. Just like the Truck Series, our Busch Series will have a week off coming up. Cup Series is the only one that does not have a week off, but these Busch guys will, as well as the truck, so you won't see them back on track for another 2 weeks from tonight. That following week, this coming week, we will be at St. Pete, like I mentioned. So that'll be an interesting cup race to tune into, as it'll be the only stream next week that we get. And then return to action for all the series. After that, we will be at Knoxville for the trucks on the dirt. And wow, maybe that's actually it. We're actually going to be on the dirt with the Busch cars too, so that's going to be an interesting one. The Busch guys are actually racing dirt. There's no telling how that's going to play out. We've seen pretty much the standard status quo for this Busch series. Something like that's going to throw a curveball. I forgot that I even made that a thing. They will only go to 2 dirt tracks in the Busch series, but yeah, Knoxville being one of them. That's going to be something else. So, yeah, they all get 1 week off to think about it and try to figure how they're going to tackle a dirt track in 2 weeks' time. Trucks and Busch both racing the same week at Knoxville. Cup, however, will be at Atlanta for the NOS 500. So we got the whole week of NOS going on. The NOSville 200 at Knoxville with the trucks. The NOSville 300 with Busch at Knoxville. And then the Atlanta NOS 500 to cap it all off for that week. If you're 18 and older, I would definitely say that's the week you should be drinking NOS Energy. Promote the brand and drink the drink. So we're getting close, ever so closer to green flag pit stops, about 8 laps away. And it's all going to come down to when those green flag pit stops happen. If they end up happening on the short end, roughly like lap 136 to 138, these guys are going to be pushing it. And especially if we get green-white checker at the end, people are going to have to come down pit road and get some gas on any potential green-white checker that could happen. Lead's kind of stabilized as Al Bunch continues to lead. We've officially made it to lap 140 with 60 laps to go. So any lap after this should be good for him to go the rest of the way with green flag pit stops. Retirements from the race, we've only had 2 so far. The 68 of Zach Armstrong and the 24 of Ethan Creech. Currently, Logan Nagy is 2 laps down in 34th, and Riley Sorrell Tracy 1 lap down in 33rd. And just like clockwork, these guys weren't able to push it any further than lap 160, 161. So, or 141, my bad. Means they're going to have to go 60 laps on the closing stretch, and this is going to make things interesting for fuel mileage. Impressive. Adam Starr was able to short pit, it looks like. With that, let's see what he did. If he took just gas. Nope. 2 tires. 4 tires. He was able to get by Nathan Morgan here. And John Brinker coming out with the lead. Well, once they all shuffle out, of course. There's a lot of shuffling going on here on this last pit stop. And this could be a very huge swing in the race if this all plays out the way it's going to play out. As you can see, John Brinker quick on the pit stop. Down before anyone else, leaving his stall. A little bit more momentum on the outside here as he's driving with Al Bunch. Al Bunch struggling getting up to speed. John Brinker taking the lead. John Brinker hadn't led any laps yet to this point, but once things shake up, once they all settle down here, John Brinker with the lead. Al Bunch in second. So now we've got a new 2-car fight for the win. And you got to imagine that the gas mileage is going to be a factor at the end of this one. 60 laps is going to be pushing it for these guys. There's either drivers that are going to be running out of gas or drivers that are having to pit with 2 laps to go. And perhaps this might be a little bit of redemption from Verland Ring. Tables are kind of flip-flopped here. At Verland Ring, John Brinker led majority of the laps and came up short when Al Bunch stole the win away from him. The other situation has gone on in this race here at Chicagoland where Al Bunch been out front leading the most laps, and John Brinker trying to steal the win away from him. This could potentially be first career win for John Brinker in the NASCAR Series. And he's definitely got his work cut out for him as he's going to have to hold off the winningest driver in the Busch Series here of Al Bunch, who's had a total of 5 wins in the series so far. John Brinker in that 78 car racing for JSR. Jacob Schenkel racing in that 78 Ford Mustang. Al Bunch, of course, racing for ABI Al Bunch Incorporated in that Dodge Challenger. As we've got 50 laps to go now, and this is going to be up to the drivers to try and save a little bit of fuel and make it to the end of this one. Impressive momentum for Adam Starr getting his way up to third here. Heck, even Brian DeBlanc now driving around for fourth, getting by Nathan Morgan, pushing him back to fifth. Nathan Morgan must have had a bad pit stop. Something just ain't right with that car in this last run here, as he's struggling. As they're able to make quick work of that lap traffic, John Brinker still holding the lead over Al Bunch. And their lead over the rest of the field is pretty sizable. as they have a 3.3 second lead over now Nathan Morgan, who seems to have kicked on the afterburners and has drove by the other two that were in front of him. Brian DeBlanc, Josh Harrison, and Adam Starr. Adam Starr must have been struggling there. Oh. But with 40 laps to go, John Brinker not showing any slowing down here as he's kind of put Al Bunch up here for surprise. I don't think Al Bunch thought that he was going to be fighting for the win with John Brinker here, but here we are. And we're down to about 35 laps to go now. Still not a whole lot changing at the front of the field. Not a whole lot changing throughout the entirety of the field, honestly. This is the primary battle that we want to keep our eyes on, because this could get good at the end here. Someone might get lucky and win the race due to fuel mileage. Never know. Al Bunch taking a move here on the inside of John Brinker. Brinker chops down low and tries to cut some of that draft, and Brinker around the outside to settle back into the lead. Side drafted there to perfection. Here we go again, another fight for the lead. But Brinker, man, he is running fiercely out there at the front, keeping Al Bunch at bay. Al Bunch just seems to be too good. As I stepped away from the booth there, come back and everything's kind of changed up here at the end of the run. 15 laps to go, and now it's Al Bunch back to the lead over John Brinker. But in third, we've got Brian DeBlank, and he's within range of catching up to these leaders, as well as Nathan Morgan and Josh Harrison. All of which that are closing in, try and fight for the win here in the closing laps. Definitely is going to make for an exciting finish here. 14 laps to go now. Brinker's down, but not out. He's still trying to fight Al Bunch back for that lead position. And you got to imagine just how close these guys are going to make it on fuel. There's a few potential candidates here for first-time winners, as John Brinker and Brian DeBlank both would be getting their first career win in the NASCAR Series. As the laps continue to clip away here, Al Bunch still holding sturdy. 11 laps to go now. And this is the tightest that we've had at the front of the field all race long. 4 drivers within 1 second, actually. All 4 drivers within half of a second of each other. DeBlank bobbled there a little bit, lost some momentum. As we're down to 10 laps to go now. Lap traffic causing a little bit of trouble for John Brinker here. As Al Bunch got by, Brinker still trying to figure out a way around the lap traffic. Down to 7 laps to go now. Al Bunch is not stretching his lead out all that much, as these guys behind can still get a shot. They might take it. Brinker's going to have to get by this 83 car pretty quickly. But instead, it looks like Brian DeBlank's going to try to fight for second. Peeks his nose on the inside there. Brinker's still holding on to second. But laps are not working in Brinker's favor right now, as we're down to 6 laps to go. And the only opportunity Brinker's going to have is if he gets by in the next lap. Yep, right here is going to be his best opportunity to stay alive, and Fred Jones closes the door on him, keeping him at bay right there in second. Brinker could get another run here at it. Stick his nose on the inside. There we go. And now we're only going to have about 4 laps to go this time by. A little bit of luck. Brinker could still make this happen. And, I mean, of course, there's the factor that Al Bunch could run out of gas in the lead. So there's a lot of factors still on the table here. We know that they are only able to go about 60 laps on a fuel run. And this is going to be pushing it right to the barren edge with the fuel numbers. Man, Al Bunch is cruising away from the rest of the field now. At first we had 4 cars within striking distance of each other, and now there's just one with Al Bunch cruising out there with a sizable lead. All he's got to do is hold on for another 2 laps. Hope that there's no caution, because any green-white checkers will definitely spell doom for him. If my numbers are right, he should make it around for lap 199 here. But lap 200 with the white flag, it might get hairy. This 8 car has been dominating all day today. Al Bunch with 2 laps to go now. The lead at 1.05 seconds. Wow, Brinker is closing in ever so slightly. The only way he's going to make this happen is if Al Bunch definitely runs it out of gas now. White flag this time by, and the lead has now shrunk down to a 1.03, so not much gaining at all from John Brinker. Brinker might have to settle for a second here today. If Al Bunch can make it around turns 3 and 4 without any hassle, entering turn 3. On the exit of turn 4 here, Al Bunch was able to cruise to victory here today at Chicagoland. Coming home second, John Brinker. Third, Brian DeBlank. Fourth, Nathan Morgan. Fifth, Josh Harrison. And 6th place, we had Adam Starr. Jordan Walker in 7th. Matthew Fastnaugh in 8th. Kat Durham in 9th. Series debut for Andrew Moger coming home in 10th. Not too bad. Daniel Paulus in 11th. Braden Hunt in 12th. Clarence Bonner in 13th. James Robert. Lucas Holmes. Lynn Farrell. James King. Gavin Legend. Tommy Cording. Justin Patrick. Jack Davis. Dean Berggren. Trevor Walker. Kellen Oakley. Santi Messi. Luis Rodriguez. And Nadat Kagum. And as you can see, it looks like Al Bunch ran out of gas on the last lap. I knew for a fact that that was going to be pushing it right to the very, very end. If it was even 1 lap earlier, he would have most likely not won this race. He might be able to coast his way down onto pit road, but that was a hard-earned win. A little bit of good luck came his way. Al Bunch gets his 2nd win on the season here in the Sylvania Busch Light Series. John Brinker with another great run. It seems like a win is just on the horizon for John Brinker, who has been flirting with a win each week now within the two series that he competes in. Brian DeBlanc, man, he back-to-back top 5 finishes for him with the road course and now a speedway. He's definitely going to have some movement in the point standings with this many good runs in a row. But the point standings are going to continue to be skewed in the favor of Al Bunch. Now that he has extended his lead probably really big time over Nathan Morgan now. Brinker definitely is a contender, flirting with the championship bubble there. Getting into the top 5 in points and continuing to run good is one way to stay alive for a championship. Everyone's going to be fighting Al Bunch to the barren end here with the way he's running. And so thanks again, everyone. Glad you could tune in. And although the race may not have been the most exciting, at least there was a little bit of drama towards the end of it, and we got to see some good racing, clean racing. Only one caution, and yeah, so trucks will be off for a week, Busch will be off for a week, and then we return for a full week of racing at Knoxville and with the Cup guys at Atlanta. So much appreciated, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully catch you on the flip side.